You know, I think I lost my little black book on that lousy thing.
No, don't take my little black book. Don't take my little black book. Do anything you want to me. Make me hear weird things in my head. Kill 2 of my crew members. Release weird nuclear substances in the oceans. But don't take my little black book. How am I going to call Julie now? Well, we can all sense Captain Reef's pain and his trauma and the dissatisfaction he's feeling about not being able to reconnect with Joy Lansing because of the absence of his little black book, which maybe the hairy eyeball took. Who knows? Who knows where he lost it? But I did also notice, and I want you to take note of the fact that Captain Reef and Dr. Carl Nielsen, Brett Halsey, the peacenik, seem to have made friends and come to a kind of a bonding thing somehow during the movie. And I don't know if that's an edited out scene for economy or whatever, but for no reason they seem to have kind of bonded together at the end and developed a mutual respect. And I'm glad they did, but I would give an A to anybody who can show me the scene of where they, got that kind of bonding thing happening. Igor, what are you trying to tell me? Oh, I understand. Oh, thank you, Igor. You're absolutely right. Dr. Carl Nielsen did help out Captain Reef, because when Captain Reef gets through that first doorway that's kind of that iris thing, he gets through that, but he gets to the second doorway, which is also closing. And Dr. Carl Nielsen kind of throws his body in there and helps keep the door open. So that is a scene where they bonded. Thank you, Igor. You will have raw meat tonight. Thank you. Very, very good. And also, didn't you think that some of those scenes were so cool, like where the frogman gets half of his body schmooked off by the door? And the melting men? Was that cool? I mean, it was incredibly good. And the hairy eyeball himself was so cool. That weird sort of NBC Peacock kind of like hairy eyeball thing, and it's like in a little toilet paper tube, and he's got the tendrils coming out and the barnacles at the bottom, and it's very reminiscent of the current monsters on The Simpsons show, which are Kang and Kodos. And what did you think of the scene where the hairy eyeball alien gets shot in the eye and the juicy stuff oozes out, and then when he heals himself, because he's got that kind of back-teen ability to kind of heal himself, they just reverse the film and the juice goes, that's totally cool. And how about the submarines going through the Arctic Circle underwater? They look like pencils floating in a real cheap Woolworth's fish tank. I mean, it's just an amazing film. As you remember, students, I asked you for my second pop quiz, and this is an extremely important one. What popular 1960s TV series, starring a somewhat hapless, inept father taking care of 3 boys and 1 adopted boy, did Laszlo score in the 1960s? And the answer to that is that Alexander Laszlo scored and wrote the incredibly unforgettable soundtrack to My 3 Sons.
My 3 Sons, starring Fred McMurray.
To give you a little bit of a history of Alexander Laszlo, he was born in Germany and he became a prodigious and proficient piano player in his 20s. He also scored the music for many silent films. In 1943, he moved to Hollywood and became involved with Paramount and Republic Pictures. And he did the TV themes for many popular TV series. Racket Squad, Rocky Jones, Space Cadet, Wanted, Dead or Alive, The Stu Irwin Show, My 3 Sons. Wyatt Earp, and The Gumby Show. So he did many, many popular TV series throughout the 1950s and the 1960s. He also did 4 films by William Castle, the renowned gimmicky King of the Bees director from the 1950s and 1960s. Laszlo wrote the soundtracks for 4 amazing William Castle films: The House on Haunted Hill, The Tingling, 13 Ghosts, and Mr. Sardonicus, all acknowledged classics, and 2 of which, House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts, were recently remade in the late 1990s, early 2000s. In the 1970s, with the decline of the modestly budgeted B-Foomies, in the 1970s, with the decline of the modestly budgeted B-movies, in which Laszlo specialized, he stopped working in Hollywood, and his career virtually came to an end. But we will always remember him for such films as the 1958 Night of the Blood Beast and Attack of the Giant Leeches, starring a friend of mine, Jan Shepard, who played the wife of the forest ranger in that movie, and the forest ranger was sort of a peacenik like Brett Halsey in this movie, and he didn't want to blow up the giant leeches, just like he didn't want war either. So anyway, at that point, Laszlo's career came to an end, and that's about all there is to say about this just classic, incredibly innovative, educative, discombobulated, discombobulated film classic, the 1959 production of The-Atomic-Submarine. So, everybody get out of your frogman suits, put your papers and pencils away, and I will see you for our next show. As for me, I am your host, Professor Fred-Hopkins of Schlock Cinema 101. And now, Igor, unlock the doors, unchain the students, set them free, let them go, Igor!
Professor Fred's Movie Marvels is a show you must tune in. Showing bad horror movies. They're good, but they're so bad.